Good evening. This is PKTV, broadcasting from the Scottish Youth Film Foundation.
This evening, we have a lot lined up for you.
From interviews with industry people,
to short film premieres,
to trailers for the upcoming award ceremony tomorrow night.
Yeah, and coming up, we were able to interview an amazing person called Hiftu Quasem. How was that for you?
For me, it was great to get a chance to speak to someone with industry experience. Managed to break out of the box of like being in Scotland as an actress rather, and it was just great. Get some insight.
She was really amazing, wasn't she?
She was great, down to earth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So here's that for you now.
You did begin sort of working behind the scenes at BBC. So when was it that you decided that you wanted to act instead?
For me, acting it's something I kind of always toyed with the idea of doing. But I mean, growing up in Aberdeen, there wasn't really a great deal of opportunity to kind of work in theatre, film or TV. And so kind of always put that thought on the back burner. And then when I moved to London, I was just exposed to a lot more creative opportunities, and don't know. It was probably when I started working on those short films. I just loved working with those creative teams so much, and kind of being able to bring these characters to life. That after a few years of doing it, and after getting a bit of a short film I worked on called Tizzy was screened at the BFI Film Festival. And like I said, one film was nominated for a BAFTA Scotland New Talent Award. So I guess after doing that for maybe about 2-3 years or so, I just got to a point where I was like, I need to do this. It's not even that I want to be an actor anymore. It's I need to be an actor, and I need to really try and give it my all. I was just like, if I don't get to do this, I'll just explode.
I think you said you grew up in Aberdeen. Just wondering, what were some of the challenges you came across trying to break into the industry, specifically with being from Scotland?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I don't think the challenge was so much being from Scotland as much as it was. It wasn't about being from, that was the issue. It was the opportunities for accessibility. So obviously growing up in Aberdeen, like I said before, the options to act were just limited. I remember kind of talking to my dad about attending Scottish youth theatre workshops and stuff at the weekend, and it just wouldn't have been feasible sort of long term to travel from Aberdeen to Glasgow or Aberdeen to Edinburgh every weekend. And so I don't, to be honest, maybe if you'd asked me this question, if I was doing this sort of 20 years ago, the challenges would have been more prominent. But I guess because I didn't really start acting until I moved to London, and then I went to Oxford. And then I graduated at a time when we were, and still are, being told that if you're not really, being Scottish is actually a USP, it's something that makes you apart. And I'm not only Scottish, I'm also Bengali. And so there's, a whole other perspective that I guess I can offer when it comes to storytelling and creativity. So
that looked really interesting. How did you find that interview?
It was really interesting. A very cool person to interview, and it was amazing to find out about her acting experience.
Awesome. Next up, we sent our crew out to the city of Perth, where they tried to find some real great elements. Here's what we got. Right, everyone. All right, George? As you were. So today the plan is to promote Perth and get some new visitors come to see what we got.
Perth is a lovely place. Lots to do, lots to see, such as
anything?
Such as
Yeah.
no.
Jesus. We'll ask the locals.
Excuse me, could I have a second of your time to talk about Perth?
Yeah, go on.
How long have you lived in Perth?
Since I was a Wayne.
What's one thing you love about Perth?
Greg's?
Okay. What's something you do to pass the time?
Actually, now that you mention it, sometimes I like to go around and look for homeless people in need.
That's great. What do you do for them?
And nick their change.
Oh, okay.
Cut.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir, would you like to have a word about Perth? Just come and stand here. So, what do you think about Perth?
Quoi?
Perth.
Qu'est-ce que tu aimes à Perth? Aime à Perth? Rien. C'est nul. C'est terrible. Vous avez essayé la nourriture ici. Vous avez essayé le Greg's. C'est la
What did he say?
He said it was fine. Not too bad.
So, have you lived in Perth your whole life then?
Yeah, I have actually.
So do you have any big stories about Perth? Anything?
Now that you mention it, I do. I have a story that absolutely changed my life, right? I was at my grandpa's, he lives in Perth too, right? We went up to the attic and there was a map. I'm thinking, what could possibly be on this map? And it was telling us about all the different and you started seeing all this bubbling going on everywhere. And so the bubbling was actually coagulating pollution. And then it turned into these huge monsters. They were absolutely ginormous. I was thinking, there is no way that these could be from the pollution, right? But it was. And that's how we escaped the aliens.
Wow, that's brilliant. Thank
Gotta
you.
go.
Oh, did you guys get that?
I'm so sorry.
This beautiful alley in Perth was where the band The Beatles were founded back in the 1300s.
This is Perth Museum, an art gallery containing many remnants from the famous battle between the Teletubbies and the Ninky Nonks, which ended in tragedy.
This here is Perth Theatre, which was built by Shakespeare himself back in the 1300s.
And whenever you're ready.
Okay. This is the Scottish Graphic Okay.
Geographical
Museum of Scotland. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Whenever you're ready.
This is the Geographical Museum of Scotland, where you can view rocks, stones, and even pebbles.
Whenever you're ready.
This is 1800s Perth, in which the workers are...
It's gonna be rubbish, isn't it?
Yeah.
Should we just head then?
That. I can't believe we haven't found anything. This place is a dump.
It does have some nice pavements, though.
That's it. That's our show.
Well, I'm sure there are some fabulous elements to Perth. However, our crew has certainly just failed to capture that. I'll pass you over to Ruben and Sarah.
A couple months ago, Sarah did another film project based in Crieff, and I'm here to ask her a few questions about how that went. So, first off, how did you find out about the opportunity?
Well, I managed to find out about the opportunity on Twitter, or X, and it was, yeah, I was like totally taken by it because film is such a big thing for me, so it was a really cool opportunity.
Was it a big learning experience, and if so, what did you learn?
Absolutely. I got experience editing, using the camera. I got some directing experience as well. So, yeah, I had a lot of fun.
What would you say was the most valuable thing that you took away from it?
I think definitely learning to work with others, teamwork in making something that's so cool and making a film together.
Yeah. I heard that your film that you made was inspired by COVID. What inspired you to choose that as your topic and explore it in the way that you did?
Just because, you know, when you look back, you think of all the weird things that happened, like the hoarding of toilet paper and the panic buying. So, you know, we just thought it would be fun to sort of explore it now in a sort of comedical sense.
Mm-hmm. What did an experience like this mean to the participants who were largely from rural communities?
It was really great. I mean, that's just such an amazing thing about the Perth Youth Foundation, the Scottish Youth Foundation. It's just so great at coming out to places in Scotland that don't really get that sort of education. So it was an amazing experience for everyone involved.
Yeah. Thank you for your amazing answers.
No problem.
And now we have an interview with Alan Cumming, who provided us with a lot of insight about his experience acting in theatre and also in Hollywood.
I was wondering, you know, your character, Billy Blakey in L Word, is much of an icon, you know. I wanted to know, how does it feel to have been part of such a revolutionary show for LGBTQ people, and especially trans folk, with Max being such one of the first accurate representations of trans person in, you know, mainstream media, and your character being so crucial in his development? It was a bit long. It was just more about like what that means to you, you know.
Well, what it means to me is a great thing. I mean, I really feel like Daniel now, because he has transitioned, I'm still friends with, and you know, over the years, I mean, I think I did that about nearly 20 years ago. We would go, we stayed friends, and we'd go out places, and so it's actually amazing for something that was kind of a funny, jokey thing, has become much more of an important thing, and I think that's a kind of a constant in my life, that things I just sort of, I lived my life and did, you know, I've had the life that I wanted to live, but actually I realize, looking back on it, there are certain things that are more kind of important and have more relevance as time goes by. So I look on that as a really huge, it's hilarious, of course, but a really huge sort of, it was a turning point in television, that you'd never seen a scene like that. You'd never seen a story like that, and a trans person like that go through talking about top surgery and hormones and all that stuff. It was really, really ahead of its time, I suppose. And I think we still have to have more things like it, where it's changing, but this backlash against trans people is very worrying to me. And I mean, there's many backlashes happening, but especially to trans people, because I think they are the most sort of, or the least powerful in our culture, because they've been visible and strong for the shortest amount of time.
What is it the most when you get a role, or when you're looking for something, that excites you the most? Like when you get on set or in a rehearsal room, what do you want to do?
I think walking onto set or walking into a rehearsal room, the thing I want to do most is to feel that I am on the same wavelength as the people I'm going to be working with. Like simpatico and talking the same, you know, yes, exactly what simpatico means. Talking the same language as those people. I feel like there's nothing worse than when it can happen, you know, in film and television, you don't get the same amount of discussion, and often I don't meet directors until I'm on the set with them, you know, which is not my choice, believe me. But I just want, it's horrible to sort of get to doing something and you start working, you think, oh, they have no kind of, they're not at all on the same plane as me about this. So all I want to do is to try and make sure that I'm connecting with the people I'm working with, and that I'm going to be seen and heard, and that my interpretation of it is in line with theirs. And I mean, it's rare that doesn't happen, but when it doesn't happen, it's really awful. So that's all I want, is for a feeling of solidarity, and like my tattoo says, to only connect. Thank you.
I was wondering, obviously you're from Scotland yourself, and do you feel there's much opportunity for Scottish actors or Scottish people trying to get into film, and would you have any advice for anyone from Scotland?
I think there's much more now, I have to say. I think the world has changed so much that, we're having this conversation. I don't think that the possibility of this happening and this sort of communication happening when I was starting out it wasn't a thing. I think that the idea that you can reach other people around the world as just people, but especially as artists, has changed the landscape so hugely. So I think there are many more opportunities. I think also that has also meant that the kind of maybe prejudices and mistruths or untruths about the Scottish experience that are the kind of, hackneyed sort of misrepresentations of what it is to be Scottish are less potent than they used to be. And I think so therefore it means that Scottish people are portrayed in a more accurate and more authentic and less unrepresentative way. So yeah, I definitely do. I felt like when I was starting out, my Scottishness was seen as a negative thing. It was seen as less than, it was seen as a problem for me. And I don't think that is the case so much now, thankfully. I think we as a country, we as Scottish people also have much more self-confidence than we used to because of various things like devolution and just sort of understanding that the world opening up and us understanding that our culture and our stories are important and valid and that people like us. When I was starting out, we were much more in the thrall of the kind of the old school traditional English traditional sort of way of doing things. So I think it's been a revolution, actually, thankfully. There's still remnants of it, of course, but I think we're in a much healthier place.
Wow, that interview was absolutely magnificent. Make sure you check out the Syff YouTube channel. Keep an eye out. The full uncut interview will be on there very soon. I'm getting a chance to speak to Ruben, who was interviewing Alan Cumming. How did it feel getting the chance to speak to a local legend like himself?
I was really excited. I just felt like there was so much that he could offer and provide, especially for us who are aspiring people in the creative industry.
Definitely. And you had a big range of questions, but were there any answers he gave that you would say were unexpected?
Yeah, not sure if it showed up in the footage, but he did go on quite an important rant about how Hollywood often protects abusers and, is not set up for the people who deserve it most.
Very serious topic. Interesting. What did he say that stuck with you the most?
It's a little bit silly, but he did talk about going to Disneyland and stealing something with Matthew Bourne, who's a director. Well, he's a choreographer that I also really look up to, so that was exciting.
That seems very whimsical.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, honestly. Now, up next, we have a trailer for tomorrow's film festival. Got a large list of events and workshops that will be going, talks and premieres. So that's right now.
So that's just a small taster of what's to come tomorrow. And here I am now with David and Scott, who are co-founders of the Scottish Youth Film Foundation. So how are you guys feeling about tomorrow?
exhausted.
Yeah, it's we worked for a year to get to this point, so yeah, it's exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time because there's a load of guests coming. That's just not even just the industry guests. We've been told that there's over 300 tickets gone, so it should be packed. So yeah, it's going to be busy and hectic, and there's some incredible stuff on tomorrow.
I know, that is a lot of people. So why have you actually decided to do a festival?
We decided, it was really, we were having a laugh. Early on, we did a project in our hometown of Armadale, and if you know anything about Syff, it's all about bringing opportunities to people who would never normally get that opportunity because we grew up together, we were in the same school. Nobody ever said, oh, you're a bit clever with a pen. How do you fancy being a writer? Said nobody ever. So we thought we'll give young people in Armadale a chance, and it just grew. And we said, we'll have a little mini festival, we'll make some films, and we'll get their parents down and their pals, and we'll call it the Scottish Youth Film Festival. And we just took the whole national name right away. And then nobody ever let us stop. We were never allowed to stop. So now it's grown and grown and grown, and this will be our biggest one yet. This is, we've come to Perth, we've had magic support in Perth. We've been out to the schools, developing the young workforce have helped us. They've really helped us get the Eventbrite. So the Eventbrite's closing, everything's sold out. You can maybe still come along and get a walk-up ticket for some things, but they've been really super helpful. And we've had all these partners, the council, the schools, it's been great. So why do we do it? I know why I do it, but I'll let Dave answer that first.
Yeah, it was always our intention. There wasn't a national celebration of film, so even though it did start in Armadale and we made some local outreach projects. We've always done outreach projects, and you'll see our outreach films tomorrow. It was always a conduit for people to send their films in. So even from the start, we had films from all over Scotland, and that's just grown and grown as well. So it's really competitive now to get a film into the festival. Like we get something like in the 13 to 19 live action, we get like 50, 60, 70 films, and only 5 get shortlisted. So the people that are shortlisted tomorrow, the films are amazing, and the animation category this year in 13 to 19 is stunning. I mean, there is stuff in there that's funnier than stuff I watch on telly, and it's just brilliant.
I literally have got to say that. The animations this year are they're I'm not going to say amazing. I'm not going to say amazing, but they are hilarious. And in a way, sometimes you watch a film and it's hilarious because it's bad. That is not the case with these films. They tried to be funny and they've utterly nailed it. That bit you just saw, those were clips from the awards-nominated films. And if you come along tomorrow, you'll see the full ones. And I guarantee, if you're not laughing tomorrow, there's something wrong with you. Go to the doctor. Seriously, that's how funny they are. And Dave says that the best bit about tomorrow for me will be the awards, because if you've not seen a primary school pick up an award that they don't know they've won, then you haven't really lived. It gives me goosebumps every year. They go mental. Like they're sitting there, and if we've got them in the audience, we train a camera on them, and we go, here they go, and the winner is, and they cannot physically stop themselves from jumping up and going, and it doesn't matter what you say to them at that point. You can be the most important person in the world. They don't care about you. They're just looking at their pals and going, we won, and they go crazy. So come along and watch that if you can. That's brilliant.
Absolutely.
And that will be preceded by Universally Challenged, which is the infamous game show run by Scott, where the questions are sometimes horribly hard, sometimes stupidly easy.
And it's run like University Challenged, mixed with catchphrase. So you get like a starter for 10, and then you might get 3 sort of audio questions. And we've got the video, and it's literally, it's buzzers and whistles and bonkers.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So it really sounds like you've grown quite a lot. So what are like some other things that we can expect to see tomorrow?
Okay, so there is, and most of the stuff's sold out, as already been told. So there's animation, special effects, there is acting, there is director of photography workshops, there is directing workshops, there is script writing, there is location, there is, and then the big room, which is the room that if you come along tomorrow, you'll probably be able to get into, there is sound design, there is animation from an animation studio, there is an interview with director Andrew Cumming and 2 of his crew, one of whom came up through the Scottish Youth Film Foundation, and she's just worked on Payback with Andrew, which is a big ITV show coming this autumn. I think it starts in the next few weeks. And yeah, the aforementioned Universally Challenged and the awards. And there's chances to win stuff if you come along at the awards. There's wee bits and bobs will be thrown out to the audience. And there's films to watch. It's a film festival. There's films to watch.
Can I just say that, like, we've got to give it today for being able to remember all that. But can I just say to you, he didn't remember all that. Look at this here. Look at this here. David's just been reading all
what
this.
What a horrible man Scott
I
Mackay
know
is.
I am. David's just been reading all this off this. So don't let him think he's just like your
honestly,
like pretend presenter skills.
The magic of film.
Yeah.
Just
see.
That's what you find out when you come tomorrow.
If this had been
how
a film,
actually works.
If this had been a film, he'd edit that out.
Yeah.
So there you go. All of this is happening tomorrow, like that.
Perfect. And so, is there anything you're particularly excited about?
I'm looking forward to seeing the kids pick up awards. I think we've got some of the winners coming along, and that'll be, and obviously, universally challenged and having a good sleep afterwards. I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. No, it's going to be nice to. It's that thing you build up to it for a year. So just to be here tomorrow and see everybody enjoying themselves and doing this, and we've got another PKTV show tomorrow.
Yes.
You can tell us
with you
about
and
that,
all
Sarah.
the crew. What's happening then? What's happening tomorrow, Sarah?
Oh, well, lots of things. You'll have to come along to see.
Well, there you go.
Well, thank you very much. And we will be back tomorrow for you to bring some more amazing guests, and you will see some more amazing films as well. And we'll see you back tomorrow as well. So thank you very much for watching, and good night.